In this video, we're going to go back to the post-event survival community series. And this one, we're going to come at it from a different direction. Most of the videos I've done in this series have basically been from the point of view of people that were not ready or only semi-prepared. The ones that were semi-prepared, maybe they got a little gear, and their bug-out plan is, we're going to go to the woods, or we're going to go to the mountains, and that's it. Well, what about a group that has been preparing for a while? I got this idea because Kaz, the Italian hillbilly, has been writing a story called The Blight, and he has been getting these put into animation, as you could say, through AI, and he's been posting them on his channel. I will put a link to the playlist for those videos if you want to go through and watch those episodes. So, point of view for this video. We have a survival group. They've been training, they've been preparing for a while. It's a group of friends and relatives. They get together whenever they can and do training for when the fecal matter hits the oscillating device. So during fall, they train on how to can, dehydrate, how to dry meats. They get together, go on fishing trips, go on hunting trips. Springtime they get together and they do little classes on gardening and that stuff. And then during the summer, everyone takes a week or two of vacation. They get together, they go to a chunk of land, property that they got a hold of, or one of the members owns and he's agreed this will be the survival retreat. They get together on that property and they work on it. They slowly get it ready. They put in their rain catchment, build bigger gardens. And for the stuff they can't do right away, they get materials and they store it in buildings till the point comes that they can do those improvements. They got bug out bags. They're storing food and that stuff, long-term storage at the survival retreat. Set up their own little area in there as their first aid room, which would double as a isolation ward if someone's sick. So they're moderately ready. You're never fully ready because there's always more that you can do. What will this group do, or what can they do when something happens? So first off, event occurs. This could be an economic collapse. Maybe we have one day the stock market just dumps. The automatic safety guards go into place, shut down trading. Trading gets reopened after the set period of time later that day. People are still in a frenzy of selling off. Safeguards go into place again. Trading is done until the next day. People hear about it, don't really notice it. Doesn't really matter to them. Who cares if it affects the IRA or 401k? I got plenty of years till I hit retirement age. We'll make up the losses just like we did in 1987 and 2008. Next day, markets open. We're still in that sell-off frenzy, and the safeguards go again. At the same time, definitely on this second day, you're going to see people probably start going to the banks, emptying out their bank accounts. And while they're emptying out the bank accounts, they're going to the stores with those credit cards and they're maxing them out. They're getting as much shelf-stable food as they can get a hold of. The flour, the rice, the beans, the pastas. Cans and jars of spaghetti sauce, salt, seasonings, canned goods, anything that will not require refrigeration and has a longer shelf life. Your group notices what's going on. need to get together, have a way to contact each other in an emergency, something like this happens. So maybe you have a chat room over on Telegram, or maybe you've set up your own little chat room using Signal or whatever it turns out to be. You get on there. Hey, I noticed that the stock market went down today. What do you guys think? And you have your little discussion. Happens the second day. And then as things develop, that information gets put in there and you confirm it. Yeah, we got confirmation now that there's now a bank holiday's been called. Banks are closed until Wednesday or Thursday. Go through, make your decisions. What are you going to do? What is going to be your criteria for bugging out? When that criteria happens, once again, make sure that you're getting together on your little chat rooms or your little cell phone direct messaging, whatever it is. You need to make your decision. Do you bug out or don't you? Now, if you run your group democratically, majority vote and that stuff, you should still have one person who's designated as the person in charge, the tiebreaker if a tie ends up happening. This person could be the person who owns the survival retreat, or it could be someone nearby, whoever you designate. Maybe you'll do it on a rotating basis, whatever you come up with. But decision gets made. Time to bug out. Maybe the decision is simple. Maybe it's like in Kaz's story, the blight. A viral outbreak has now occurred. People are getting infected, attacking other people, and the people that get attacked are getting infected, attacking others. Then it's pretty obvious in that type of situation, or in a situation like an EMP, that, hey, we need to head to the survival retreat without even discussing it as the group. If you can, get in there, discuss it as the group, and you mention that, hey, I'm bugging out now, I'm going to the retreat, this is insane, this is what I'm seeing. If you're able to. If it's EMP, not very likely you'd be able to do that. Internet would be out, computers would be out, phones would be out, cells definitely would be fried. But the decision is made and everyone acknowledges. Now, if we get to a point where it's the person in charge of the group makes this decision without the group's input, you need to have a call list, and you go down that list from top to bottom, calling each group on that list, each family, each person, and you get confirmation from them that they have gotten that order or that instruction, whatever it is, to go to the bug out location. And you need to write it down. Have a physical sheet that you keep this information logged on. Has their name, their contact info is on there, whether you're doing this by cell phone, radio frequency, whatever it is. Have that block on there. Message sent on this day, this time. Message acknowledged on this day, this time, and who acknowledged it. Was it the husband? Was it the wife? Was it an oldest child? Whatever it may be, annotate that on there, the person's name, who got the message. If someone does not respond when they get that call, you move to the next one down the list, and after you get to the bottom of the list, that's when you go back up to the top and you start calling back the ones that you were not able to get through to before. And you make a note on that sheet too, each attempt where you could not get through. Now, bug out situation has been called, groups mobilizing. I did a video about bugging out, what you should do or could do as stuff's going wrong. getting a hold of family members, getting stuff loaded up, and heading out the door. That's going on at this point. Your survival retreat is getting activated at this point. The caretakers, if there are any for that property, they start activating what is called a tactical operations center in the military, a TOC. Have a particular area set up inside that retreat location. A particular room, could be in a basement, wherever, could be in a bunker, who knows? Could be inside the living room in a corner. Have an area set up where your communications are coming in and you're tracking stuff. You have radios, you have a landline if you're hooked into one, and the phone is there that the person can answer it from their desk. You have 1 or 2 cell phones if the network is still available, and if it's still feasible to use it. If you're in a police state situation and they're using cell phones to track people, you're probably going to want to ditch them and don't use the cell phones at that point. But you have your landline and your radios. What type of radios should you get? I am not a communications expert, but first off, I'd say one of the easiest, CB, Citizens Band radios. Don't need a license for them anymore like you used to. And then you want something that has a little bit longer range if people are farther away. So maybe get a hold of an FM or shortwave or ham radio, whatever it is. Some capability where you have a base station inside your TOC and mobile units inside the vehicles. Preferably handheld, that a person can disconnect from the antenna on the vehicle, put on a mobile whip on it, carry it with them in case they have to go cross country. Now, I do have a little bit of experience with civilian usage of FM radios, not a lot. But from my understanding on that, how you can do it, you have one person who gets the license, or one family gets the license. And then that license can be shared by everybody else inside that group. But they have to use the same call sign. Now, from what I was told decades ago, when I was involved with the FM system, this was decades, we couldn't have a base station. That first station had to refer to itself as Mobile 1 or Station 1. And then each individual vehicle or whatever that was used, each individual post, whatever, that was Mobile 2 or Station 2. And when you would get onto the radio to use it, at least at that time, you had to use the call sign that you were given on your license. So let's say it's ABCD 123, Mobile 1 calling Mobile 2. ABCD 123, Mobile 2 to Mobile 1. And then you go through, do your talk. And then the others would be Mobile 3, Mobile 4, 5, so on down the list to whatever's amounts needed. And then you only have the one license you have to pay for, the one license that's registered, and then each vehicle, each group has their radio that's connected to your little net, your frequency. So we have that, our base station, or our Mobile 1 station, quote unquote, is at the TOC. That must be manned at all times. The group's activated, people are coming in, someone must be on those communications at all times. They can't get up, run to the bathroom and run back. They could miss something. Someone must relieve them so that they can go relieve themselves. Other people at that survival retreat, they're starting to get stuff ready. Maybe they already have a little list of, hey, when the group gets activated, you need to do this. Maybe it's drop a couple trees across a side road. You know, an additional driveway that could come onto the property, whatever. Closing gates, whatever it may be. setting up at a prepared position, overwatching a particular intersection, whatever. Now at the talk, because I forgot to mention this, you should have wall maps of the area, wall maps of the state, wall maps of your region. And you should have a overlay where everyone is at, where they live. And then marked on there their primary and secondary bug out routes. And you should have on those routes checkpoints. And these should be easy to see even at night. Like intersections, crossing a particular river or bridge. That must be marked on that overlay. You got your communications, and I would also recommend, as information comes in, use something like this. This is a DA 1594. This is a daily staff journal or duty officer's log. We use these for everything in the military. But you can copy something similar. You have the time that something happens, the information of what occurred, sign off any particular stuff like movement began, whatever type things, and initials of who took the report. Start this at the beginning, your very first entry, bug out activated. And then every call that comes in across the radio, the person that's at the talk, they're taking notes of it in here because that information could be important later. It could be a radio call between two different people that are coming to the survival retreat. Log it on here. Mobile 3 contacts Mobile 5 close to rally at checkpoint 10, whatever it is. Put it in there. And you keep that going, especially through the bug out. So that if you get in a situation, you got to find out where anyone's at. Has anyone heard from someone? You got it written down the exact time they were last heard on that radio. Or they last called in by phone. And what they said. Also at your little talk desk, you should have your full battle rattle there. Your plate carrier, your weapon. You know, maybe you're going through loading magazines and that stuff while you're there monitoring the radios. And when nothing's going on, you're done writing down the last event on your log sheet. You go back to keep putting rounds inside the mags. Bug out is occurring. People are now on the move. They've met up with their family members. They've got their vehicles loaded up. When that happens, they call it in. Call it in by cell phone, by landline, by radio, whatever it is. Get in contact with that operations center, your mini talk. And you let them know that, hey, this is Mike. I'm on the way right now. I have my entire family, 2 adults, 3 kids. We just left the city limits now. And then as they move along that route, they do check-ins, most likely at that point, either by cell phone or more than likely by radio. Calling into that Mobile 1, hey, Mobile 1, Mobile 3, just past checkpoint 2. Mobile 1, the talk, acknowledges, writes it down on a log sheet. So you know where everyone is in case something happens. What was their last reported location? Arrivals. People start showing up. As people arrive, they begin to help with the retreat preparation and security. Recommendation: all adult males, anyone willing to handle that firearm, is put on security. Other members of that group, the wife, the kids, the girlfriend, the boyfriend, I'm not going to judge, whatever the hell it is, they are the ones that will start downloading the vehicle, get it up to that outbuilding or to that house, and they're offloading the bug out bags inside, offloading those additional supplies, getting them in there. Ones that are not needed on security, they're going through and they're doing those additional tasks for that retreat to get it ready. Maybe you're hooking up a couple additional water containment drums, whatever it is, onto your rain catchment system. Or you're going through, you're setting up cots or putting together beds or bunks in that outbuilding, whatever it is. Maybe you're going through scrubbing down the bathroom, the kitchen area, whatever is required. But always maintain security at all times at this point. An event has occurred which resulted in you bugging out. You must maintain situational awareness at all times, must maintain security. That is priority. Now, no-shows. What about the people that don't make it on time? You can't get a hold of them on the radio. Or they've made no report at all beyond that initial acknowledgement of the bug out message. After a set period of time, if possible, a team will be dispatched. 2 to 4 people maximum, 2 probably being the more optimum. They lead that survival retreat and they try tracking down the group that did not show up. Or they go to the closest group that has not shown up. Maybe you had a group that they gave their last checkpoint was 2 checkpoints out. Another group that they only had their initial acknowledgement of the bug out message. You go to the closer group first. You go out along your primary route, the route that they were on, unless they said they switched over to the alternate, then you go on the alternate route and try to locate them. Now, this team really should be inside a full-size truck or an SUV with 4-wheel drive. Why? You may need that vehicle to tow a damaged vehicle. Now, that bigger vehicle must have a good amount of cargo space for the gear that that group has with them. At a minimum, their bug out bags, their weapons, and some additional food. Or maybe someone's injured, they have to be put on a litter. You have to make room for that possibility in the cargo area. This team that goes out, depending on the situation you find yourself in, if it's the economic collapse, maybe they're going out gray man, but they have their full battle rattle inside their vehicles. Maybe they have a stripped down plate carrier underneath a jacket that they're wearing so that no one can see it. And then a sidearm hidden in a pocket. But their rifles are ready to go right inside the vehicle that they can grab quick. If it's a situation like in Kaz's The Blight, maybe they go out full battle rattle on. Plate carrier, Kevlar helmet, whatever is required for your group, rifle in hand, sidearm, mop for whatever's required. Also inside that vehicle, you're going to have maybe a couple extra fuel cans because maybe that's just a situation of they ran out of fuel. They were driving so fast, they blew through the fuel that they had because they were that scared. Should also have with you tire repair kits, more than one. You never know. They could have gone across a spike strip on the road. Their tires are blown up. Who knows? Maybe, they need you should bring some extra fluids with them. like antifreeze. Because maybe someone took a shot at them, hit the radiator. They were still able to drive for a few miles down the road, but they got a hole in the radiator. So have that repair kit that you can quickly plug up that radiator and then dump in some antifreeze, get them back to the retreat location. You should have some type of tow equipment with you, tow ropes, tow cables, tow bar, whatever it is, that if it's a mechanical breakdown, but the vehicle for the most part is still sound, you can tow it like a trailer, do that. Tow it back into your survival retreat carefully. Maybe it's a situation they got run off the road. So bring along a come along or two, some chain, some rope, block and tackle, whatever, that you can do a simple extraction from the side of the road. Maybe they went down an embankment. You hook up using a tow cable from your vehicle, your four-wheel drive, hook it up to the bumper of their bug-out vehicle. You also use a come along with some other cables, and you slowly pull it up the embankment back up onto the roadway. If the vehicle's still usable, get it running, follow them back to the survival retreat. Otherwise, if as long as it's still usable, tow it in. Another thing you might want to think about is some basic extraction tools. Now, I'm not talking about bringing a jaws of life and a giant power saw, but at least something that you can get up there, break out some windows, pry open some doors, get people out of the inside. And then, medical kit. Have a medic bag, have a stretcher or two for extracting casualties. In case they were forced off the road, they hit a tree. It's crumbled up. You know, someone has to go on a stretcher because they hit their head bad. That stuff needs to be inside that extraction vehicle. Now, during movement, that extraction team is trying to find the group that did not report in. They will try to make contact with that group by radio, by cell phone, and it should be a set little schedule. You call every 5 minutes, every 10 minutes, keep trying to get a hold of them so that you can find out where they are and you do not go past them. Maybe they had to leave their vehicle behind and they're traveling on foot. You don't want to drive past them as they're traveling through the brush on the side of the road. If no contact is made, that extraction team goes back to their origin point or last known location. Spends just a few minutes, you know, whatever you come up with your SOP, checks that area, tries to locate them, tries to find sign of which way they may have gone. No sign available, nothing found. You start your return trip, going along that alternate route back to the survival retreat. Maybe you'll get instructions that extraction team will get told, hey, we need you to cross over to Team 4's alternate route. They had a breakdown at this location, so then you pull out your map. Don't go off a GPS, use a paper map. Paper maps can't be blocked and knocked out by an EMP. Find a way to cross over, get over to that route, and locate them. But once everyone is at that retreat, that is when you're going to begin your actual survival. Within 24 hours, you need to have a group meeting or discussion about what's happened, what's going on, and adjust your group's plans accordingly. Now, I do have here an example of what I was talking about, map and overlay. Now I have a fictional state here. We will call it the fictional state. We have our overlay here. Now to the north of fictional state, we have Big Dick Lake. To the south, we have Little Clit Lake. And to the east here, we have Lake Bunghole. Now we have on our overlay here, our survival retreat location marked out. And then we have marked on here where everyone starts at. If possible, down to the building on the block that they live in if they're in a town. And you have it mapped out, the primary routes and secondary routes. And then along those routes, you have their checkpoints all the way up to the survival retreat. So what we have an extraction situation that's required. Team 2 is coming out over here from Cooterville. We know they made it to checkpoint 1, the start of the bridge. We know they made it to checkpoint 2, major intersection over here. But there was no word after that. We know they were on that primary route. So after a set period of time, and we had the people that we can send someone out and it will not degrade the security for the retreat, we send the team out along that route and they check. And they look for that missing group. Maybe they'll go up to the checkpoint 2, maybe a little bit past, and they'll be looking for sign of anything along here, of what may have happened. If no sign is found, no vehicle, no prints, no sign anywhere that an ambush could have occurred, you don't see broken glass on the ground, you don't see blood on the highway, piles of shell casings, you know, you're not going to be traveling 80 miles an hour, you're going to be traveling a moderate speed, someone's going to be scanning ahead with those binos, checking the ground and that stuff for stuff glinting on the ground and checking alongside. Nothing's found over here. Get over to the closest access as possible to the alternate route. Start checking it from there, going to the retreat location. And hopefully you will locate that family. They are unharmed. Maybe they had a few shots fired at them. They got off their main route, made their way over to the alternate route. One of the rounds that were fired at their vehicle took out the antenna. And their little mobile antenna that they had for the radio, because of the terrain they were in, they kept broadcasting, but you know, the group just couldn't hear them because the signals were getting blocked inside. And hopefully the extraction team will find them. Now, you should come up with some type of plan, though, for groups that that happens. Okay, they lose their vehicles. They have to go on foot. Maybe they can't go on their primary or alternate route because there's giant hordes of infected on both routes. So they have to go cross country. They need to have a way with their bug out bags and that stuff to still make it cross country all the way to the survival retreat. Maybe instead of it taking now 3 hours or 4 hours to get there, maybe now it's going to take them 2 weeks or 3 weeks to make it there because they're dodging the infected. Maybe someone's injured they're taking care of at the time, you know, broken leg, whatever. And they're carrying them along using a improvised litter. You need to include that inside your group planning. But there you go, a little procedure for you, an idea to get you thinking on what to do if you are part of a survival group and something does happen. Something beyond the general thing that I hear a lot of, oh, if something occurs, we're just all automatically going to go to the bug out location. What's the procedure? What if someone doesn't make it? Do you have a way to track their location so you know where people are at in case you have to go get them? Things to think about, things to consider. Now, if you have to bail on a vehicle, you should already know by now, bug out bags, weapons, and then additional items that are easy to carry along that don't weigh a lot. Radios, bring them with. If you cannot bring them with, destroy it quick. If you were ambushed, you're bailing out at a vehicle, one person take that sidearm, put a bullet through the radio, destroy it, so those ambushers, those marauders, do not have access to your radio net and listen to you and figure out you're in the area, you're close by, or you're over here, you're over there, as they're calling for help. Think this stuff through, war game it. And like I said, this is an example of an overlay. Once the bug out would be done, this overlay would get taken off the map. Doesn't matter anymore. At that point, you just need the information that's underneath. Or maybe you'll put up a different overlay at that point. Or have another overlay underneath this that marks out things like National Guard was here, State Police Station here, whatever it is. And this goes over the top of that so you can reference both at the same time to the map underneath. There you go, some ideas for you to think about. I do recommend you go watch those videos that Kaz has been putting out. It is an interesting story. I have been told that I will be making an appearance some point in the storyline and not too long. I'm not going to give you the information that he gave me as to the name he gives me. We'll see if you can figure it out when that episode gets posted. Now, for all my engineer brothers in the Patriot Militia movements, always remember, essayons.